2015, October 27th. It's 10 a.m. and temperatures are already at 105 degrees and they're rising. I'm in Doha at the Paralympic World Championships for track and field. And I'm competing against the world's top 8 totally blind athletes in the long jump competition. I'm in the lead, but only by 7 centimeters. This is my 4th attempt. We all get 6. Up until this point, I've competed in every single major international competition since 2004, and I've won a medal at every major international competition since 2004. I'm 30 years old, and I'm in the absolute best shape of my life. And on this day, I'm going to break my record. And when I do that, the gold medal is coming home with me. So now I'm standing at the start mark awaiting the cue from my guide, Wesley. That lets me know to get into position. And I hear him say, "Are you ready?" I put my right foot back, I lean forward slightly, and he says, "Right there." There's one word that Wesley says over and over and over, because by the sound of his voice is how I know which direction to run. That one word is fly. The other guides have different words that they use, but the word fly, that's ours. Nobody else says that. And Wesley claps his hands faster and faster and faster as he says this word: fly, 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 fly. Except for the roar of the crowd, that's all I hear. And I take off in his direction, counting each stride every step of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then I get to 16. But something was different. This time when I landed, I didn't land inside of the sand pit. I landed on the side, on the concrete. So I get to hang out with you today and talk to you about what happened after that. And talk to you about all of the things that I've done in terms of life and the setbacks that I faced and the setbacks that we've faced. A lot of times in life, we may find ourselves missing the mark, but the difference between people who get back on top and win big, people who don't, is what they do about it. So in our time together today, we get to hang out. We'll talk about, what we can do so that you can get exactly where you need to be. So that no matter where you are right now, no matter your circumstances or hardships, struggles, you'll still be able to take the lead and bring home the gold. I know that, I love the college setting, because when I was in college, things really started happening for me. So I know that every single person in this room, I have the utmost confidence that you can become a champion at what matters to you, and you'll be able to do incredible, incredible things. So to do so, I'm going to share with you a little bit of my story and a few of the steps that I took, steps that you can take so that as soon as you leave this room, my goal is to not only leave you inspired to do your best, but you have an idea of what you need to do to be the best. Cool? Cool. All right. Awesome. So I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. Go Tar Heels. I'm sorry. But I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. And as a kid in North Carolina, I felt like people expected me to do things like play the piano and sing songs. And they're like, oh, if Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder can do it, you can do it too, son. It's like, well, no, that's not really what I aspired to do. That's not who I aspired to be. I wanted to fly. As a kid, there was this 3-foot high ledge in front of our apartment building that I would jump off of. I would run and jump and spread my arms like wings. And I would soar through the air. I was that kid inside of our apartment building with the bed sheet tied around my neck, jumping off of the couch, jumping off of the coffee table, because I was a superhero. And my mom had actually purchased for me a pair of Superman pajamas. She knew I was a superhero too. But one particular day, I had come home from school. I was playing outside with my friends. As the sun began to set, I hear my mom yell my name. So I run inside of the apartment. She has dinner cooked, everything is ready. So I'm sitting there and just really admiring my mom and her beauty and how long her hair is, and just looking at things within our dining room. We had a picture of the Last Supper that hung in our dining room, and my mom had a really nice china cabinet that she kept all of her precious plates and cups. But after dinner, the routine was go to the bathroom, hop in the tub, take a bath, and get ready for bed. As I sat in the tub that night, I started noticing that something was different. And I looked down at my hands and realized that they were looking cloudy. And I tilt my head back, I look at the light fixture in the ceiling and realize that it was blurry. I get out of the tub and I hop onto the bathroom counter, look into the mirror, and immediately know that something is wrong, because it was hard for me to see my reflection in the glass. So I call my mom. She runs into the bathroom, and I said, Mom, I don't know what's going on. My sight is blurred. I can't really explain, but I know I can't see that well. She said, we'll take some water and we'll clean your eyes out. Maybe you just got some dirt in your eyes from playing outside earlier in the day. And water made my eyes feel better, but it didn't clear my sight any. So the next thought was to go to sleep and maybe everything would be okay in the morning. As I lay in the bed that night, I remember thinking to myself, everything literally was just fine earlier that afternoon. When I wake up, will I have normal eyesight, or will I be blind? I wake up the next morning and poke my head from under the covers, and my heart dropped because nothing had changed. However, I did think that I would be good enough to go to school that day, so I got dressed, got my backpack, got on the bus, went to school. But halfway through the day, teachers had to call my mom, and they said, we need you to come get Lex, because he's not acting himself. He's bumping into things. He's seeing that there's something going on with his eyesight. My mom picks me up from school, takes me to the doctor, and after an examination, they said I needed to have an emergency operation because I was suffering from retina detachments. I had one operation. I remember opening my eyes thinking to myself, oh, it worked. I could see again. And although my eyes were sensitive to the light, I was still able to make out images. And over those next 2 or 3 weeks, I just knew that everything was on the up and up. After that 4th week, my sight was blurred a second time. An examination revealed that I needed to have a second operation because my retinas had detached again. So we had another operation. After that one, everything seemed to be fine. I was able to see again. I still had that sensitivity to the light, but I just knew that, all right, this is the second time. We're good. This is going to end in my favor. After that fourth week, same problem happened again. My retina's detached for the third time. We had to have another operation. That led to a string of 10 operations that I had on my eyes the year that I was 8 years old. I've had a total of 13 to try to fix the issue. But after the last one, doctors said that there was nothing else they could do to help my sight. And they said that I would eventually become blind. From that day forward, I would go home, go through my normal routine, go to sleep, wake up the next morning only to see a little less than what I did the day before, until one day I woke up and I couldn't see anything. After losing my sight, I was encouraged to stop jumping, to not jump off of that 3-foot high ledge anymore, to not jump off of my couch and sofa and be Superman. But I just couldn't get away from that. My mom is an athlete. That's where I get my athletic genes from. Everyone on my mom's side of the family has played it all, from soccer to basketball, kickball, dodgeball, you name it, they've played it. And so I wanted to do those same things. I wanted to be good at something. Found myself in the store, in the toy aisle, with one of my friends, and I decided to buy this basketball hoop. You know, the type of basketball hoops that you hang on your closet door? Yeah, so I bought one of those. It was this Nerf net. So I buy this Nerf net, take it home, assemble it, put it on my closet door, take the ball, it's in my hands, and I begin to shoot. Shoot, boom, boom. It's clanging off of the rim. It's smacking against the wall. My mom's yelling at me, "What's all that noise?" Like, Mom, I'm trying to figure it out. It didn't take long for me to realize that, look, I don't know when the ball is going inside of this rim. So I had to figure out a strategy or a way that would let me know when I would score. So I'm thinking, and I finally get this idea to take a safety pin and tie the bottom loops of the net together, so that now a successful basket would mean that the ball would stay inside of the net and not fall through to the ground. So now I get the ball again. I'm shooting. I'm still missing, but of course I still, I have a good excuse. I'm blind. But as I began to envision where the rim was, the ball began to go in. And it eventually got to the point where I could stand inside of my room and I could drain the shot. And that was the first thing for me. Envision your highest goal. That's really important. You have to have a goal, because without a goal, we're all over the place. And without that goal, you can't score. So envisioning where that rim was, that helped me sharpen my focus tremendously. And when you're crystal clear about what it is exactly that you want, it's kind of hard to lose focus. So always envision your highest goal. Now, when I had lost my sight, I was faced with a decision. I could either accept the current reality, or I could take a shot in the dark. My mom, she was a huge component of that. She always challenged me to get out there, explore, discover, learn as much as possible. She was always pushing me. She found someone that taught me how to read Braille. So that's how I was able to get through school. She found someone to teach me how to use a cane, so I would be able to navigate around on my own. And to be quite honest, when I was learning to use my cane, it was something that I did not like that at all. Especially you hear the word cane and it just, you know, at that age, I'm like, oh, I'm not 80 years old. I don't need a cane, but it was very beneficial to me being able to learn my neighborhood, learn how to get from classroom to classroom at my school, learn how to use public transportation, learn how to walk around the mall or any public establishment is really huge in building my independence. So my mom, she's been a huge component of me being independent and being able to survive on my own. And I would love for us to watch this first video, and it'll give you an idea of my mom and who she is and who she has been for me.
The hardest thing I ever had to tell my son was that he would never see again. As hard as it was, I did not want to shelter him. So I fought to keep him in public school. I encouraged him to play sports. You name it, I gave him the opportunity to give it a try. The first time I saw Alexis jump, I cringed because he ran off of the lane. But I had to instill in him that all things are possible. I told him, Alexis, it does not matter what anyone says. You decide what you can do and no one else. I am in awe. I literally believe he can fly.
P&G, proud sponsor of moms.
That's my mom. So one of the second important thing is that a lot of times in life, you're gonna have to take a shot in the dark. You're going to have to take some risks. If you want different results, you have to do things a little differently. And I know that it's hard. It's normal for us to feel that being in our comfort zone is where we need to be. But if you want to excel, if you want to ascend to new heights in life, you have to break out of that comfort zone. And it's challenging. It doesn't feel good. But knowing that you may feel that resistance or feel these obstacles, different emotions like that, that lets you know that you're on the right path. I can't tell you how many times that when I was on that long jump runway, it was hard. I didn't know my surroundings. I didn't know if I was safe. I didn't trust the people who I was, working with in the sport. There was a lot of things going on, but had I not tried, that video that you just experienced, that wouldn't have been so. So take a shot in the dark. Take that risk. Now, if I can pull it out. In Paralympic competition, we are required to wear a blindfold. You might be wondering, you can't see. You still gotta wear a blindfold? That makes no sense, right? It doesn't add up. But they want to ensure that there is a level playing field. So there are varying degrees of visual impairment in the Paralympic Games. And they want to ensure that when we're competing, everyone is on the same level. So this particular blindfold is one that Nike made for me in the lead up to Rio. And for those who may not be able to see it, this side is blue. It is very superhero-esque. We can pass it around too if you would like. But it's light and light as in lightweight. And on the inside of the blindfold, it has "No Fear" written in Braille. And And that's something that my God and I, that's a phrase that we have come to bounce off of each other in all of our competitions. You never really know what to expect. I mean, we train Monday through Friday and we do our best to go into different competitions and perform to the best of our ability. But sometimes you never know about the environment, you never know the weather, things happen. But within all of that, have no fear. We've trained, we've prepared as best we know how. So let's go into the competition and let's put it out there and put on display what we've been working on for years upon years. But this particular blindfold, again, this was the one that I wore in the lead up to in Rio at the Paralympic Games. I also wore it in 2017 at our World Championships. But when you put this on, you can't see anything through these. And although it hasn't always been this way, this is how I live my life every single day. So I told you about envisioning your highest goal. Take a shot in the dark. But there's also this idea of visualization and imagination. And so when I was first learning about the sport, I imagined myself running. I saw myself jumping and flying. I saw myself competing in front of millions of people around the world, standing on top of that medal stand with the American flag waving in the air. I saw myself winning gold medals. I saw myself flying as far as my mind would carry me. And it was my high school teacher who saw this vision, and he helped me see it within myself. So my mom, she kept me in public school because she felt like that was a much more real world experience for me, being able to learn alongside my sighted peers. And I had a teacher named Mr. Whitmer. He was responsible for attending PE class with me, in addition to making sure I had all of my books in Braille, all of my classwork assignments, homework assignments, all of those things in an accessible format. So I would still be able to get where I needed to be from an academic standpoint. But I was more interested in, PE class. That was fun stuff. And he was responsible for tagging along and creating an inclusive environment for me. There was one particular day we had to participate in this physical fitness test. And in this test, you had to do as many pull-ups as you could, as many push-ups, as many sit-ups. And one of the events was standing long jump. You stand in one spot and you jump forward as far as you can. We complete all of the activities, and finally it's time for us to do standing long jump. It's my turn. Mr. Whitmer escorts me to the start line, make sure I'm standing behind the tape. He said, "All right, Lex, get after it." So I put my arms back, bent my knees, and I, jumped forward as far as I could. And when my feet hit the ground, I remember hearing these voices of my classmates behind me, and they were like, "Whoa." Wow. Like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. And Mr. Whitmer, he's laughing excitedly. He walks up and, "Lex, they just pulled the tape measure, and from a standstill, you were able to jump 10 feet. I was like, "Do you know what this means?" I was like, yeah, I jumped 10 feet, right? It's like, "No, have you ever heard of the Paralympic Games?" And I said, "Well, no." He said, "Well, it's the highest pinnacle of competition for athletes who have a physical disability. And you could go to this competition and represent Team USA, and you could win medals and break records and do all of these amazing things." And so my first question was, how in the heck are we gonna make this happen? You know I can't see, right? And so he was like, "Well, I'm gonna figure out a strategy. I'll stand at the takeoff board. I'm gonna clap for you. and I'll yell, so that'll give you an auditory reference as to where you need to run and jump from. And your responsibility will be to run as fast as possible, as straight as possible to the sound of my voice. And once you get to the appropriate stride, you commit, you jump, soar through the air. In the beginning, I thought he was crazy. I did not think that I would be able to do something like that. I mean, you're asking me to put my trust in your hands, and you want me to jump and fly through the air and land in a big sandbox? So, nah, that's not happening. And he said, well, nah, I really believe this. And he was so adamant about it. It was just so I mean, he painted this vivid image so much that, I began to say, oh, you know what? I'll try it out. So we went out to the track, and, in the beginning, I would just run, and I would not jump. I would run and stop at the sand. After a while, I would run, and I would take a little baby hop into the sand. And as he continued to encourage me and gave me direction, it finally got to the point where I ran, and I took a small jump into the sand, and I landed on my feet. And finally, I said, you know what? I have to take that shot. I have to take a risk. So I ran, jumped, and actually committed to the entire jump, and I landed inside of the sand pit. He said, that's it right there. That's all you have to do. He developed a plan for me. He said that we would have to come to the track each day. We would have to train. Similar to me getting through school and doing classwork assignments, homework assignments, going through quizzes and tests. It was the same thing. I had different things during the week that I needed to achieve so that we could level up and get to new areas and ascend to new heights in the sport. So he developed that plan for me. He always told me that, you know what, it may not be easy all of the time, but it's going to help you get to where you need to go. Fast forward, 10, 11 years later, and I find myself in Chula Vista, California, training full time for the Paralympic Games. So I'll show you a second video of what it looks like, a little bit of our training. These are the things that Coach Whitmer told me I would be able to do. So for those who may not have been able to see that video, I want to say, what was I doing in there? I had some hurdle. I was jumping over a few hurdles. I was jumping into a big foam pit, I believe. There might have been some sled pulls and things like that, some weightlifting. So it just gave an idea of a lot of the training that we go through in order to make it to major international competitions. So Mr. Whitmer was a person who, he helped me identify that plan. And that's the third thing. You have to have a plan. You have to identify that plan for being the best, the absolute best. Have that plan and not only develop it, and you may write it down, you may think about it, but then get to the point where you can actually act on it. and put it into action. And what I learned through those experiences with Mr. Whitmer and just growing up is that there's a huge difference between us being able to see with our eyes and us having a vision. Because when you have eyesight, you're able to see what things are in their current state. When you have a vision, you're able to see what things can be, the future. When you have sight, that reveals your current reality, but when you have vision, that allows us to see past our reality. And when you have a vision, you're able to see what you can do, where you can go, and who you can become. And there's millions of people in this world who have perfect sight, but they may not have 20/20 vision. So I'll give you an example of a time when I refused to allow sight to overpower my vision because I had a different view for the future. And when we were in Rio, I was on the brink of elimination. I had one jump remaining, and if I didn't land within the top 8 of competitors, I was gonna be forced to leave the competition. So as I stood on that track, I knew that I had a ridiculously difficult task at hand. Brazilian spectators were super loud, but I didn't travel all the way from San Diego International Airport to Rio to come home empty-handed. That was like not going to happen. So I put my blindfold on and I focused on the only thing that mattered. It's my guy, Wesley, and his fly, fly, fly. And that rung through the stadium. I took off in his direction. When I jumped, not only did I find out I would be making it to the next round, I discovered that I would be making another appearance on the Paralympic podium as at that competition, I secured a silver medal in the long jump. So, So that last thing is, we just have to get up and go for it. Like literally, that's all it takes. I think a lot of people expect to, we get into situations where we may begin a task and you automatically want that degree. You automatically want to, play your first game and win the championship. But most times it doesn't happen like that. You have to take your time. You have to, put forth, effort here, a little bit of, work here, and it slowly evolves into this space where now you're able to really see what you envisioned from the beginning. It took me 9 years to win my first international gold medal. That's a decent amount of time. But within those 9 years, we were working. I kept my sights on what I wanted. I had a vision. I saw myself on that podium. I saw myself competing in different countries and experiencing different cultures and representing Team USA. I took those risks. We had a plan. Now that plan is a lot more detailed. Now that I'm here in Southern California, I have my coach, Jeremy Fisher, and he designs my workouts Monday through Friday. We're out there training. We usually are out there, anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a day, excluding Wednesdays and Fridays. But those other days, we're on the track. We may do repeat 200-meter runs or repeat 150-meter runs. We may do multiple jumps into the sand pit. We may be in the weight room doing squats and doing power cleans and doing box jumps. There are just a lot of things that we do. We have a nutritionist who regulates our meals. I gotta sneak my Chick-fil-A in every now and then. We have a sports psych who makes sure that, from a mental standpoint, we're able to go out and train and compete at a high level. It's tough sometimes. You're out here. I'm, thousands of miles away from my family, and training and competing is tough. Wondering, going through different things that may happen that are out of your control. It's always nice to have that person who you can discuss those things with and really kind of unpack and unravel some of the challenges that we face. That's normal. Honestly, a lot of times when I do talk to the sports psych, it's hardly ever about training and competition. I feel like I have a good hold on that, but life is hard. It's hard, but that doesn't mean that we can't conquer it and overcome whatever it is that we do face. But it's a normal thing to go through those challenges. And so even as an athlete, just know that it's not different. We're all human. We have different professions and different things that we love and enjoy. But at the core, a lot of the emotions and feelings that are out there, we all have those. So I'm not excluded from that. And I think a lot of people, you see the bright lights and getting on the podium and going to the White House and doing the commercials and all these things. But to be honest, it's really, you look past all of those things and we're all the same, for sure. So lastly, yes, you have to get up there. You have to get up, go for it. Just try something. Really put some action to your goals. Put some action to your plans. All of the things that you envision. And just act on those things. Literally, as long as you have some movement, you're going to eventually get to that point. I promise you that. You just may have to realign or adjust or adapt here and there, but you will totally get to that point. So let me take you back to the Paralympic World Championships in Doha, Qatar, where I landed on the side of the pit. The reason that happened was because there was so much commotion and echoing inside of the stadium that it was hard for me to hear where exactly my guide was located. So when I ran and jumped, I veered to the right-hand side, and it caused me to land on the concrete. So I had a nice little road rash, and I gashed my elbow pretty good. I went to the medical tent, and after passing a few tests, I was able to go back to the competition. And when I returned, I found out that I only had one jump remaining instead of two. So fortunately, I was able to get a new pair of tights because I was kind of mooning the crowd a little bit. I got my elbow bandaged, and I was ready to go. I wanted to go out there and right that wrong. I knew that the last image that people would see of me, I didn't want that to be me on the side of that long jump pit. I wasn't going to allow that to happen. So we stepped back on the track, Wesley and I. He sets me up at that start mark, jogs to the opposite end. You ready? Put my right foot back. I lean forward slightly. Right there. He begins to clap. Fly, 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 fly. And I take off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I jump as far as I can. And thank God my feet hit that sand. Oh my God. I get up and I step outside of the long jump pit. I didn't know how far that particular jump was, but as the officials pulled the tape measure, I began to hear them talk, and they say 6.38 meters, or 20 feet, 11 inches. And that ended up being the best jump of the competition, and I was able to win the gold medal. So. What I learned on that day in Qatar and in my life is that no matter where you are, no matter your circumstances or how far afield you may find yourself, you can still take the lead and bring home the gold. You can always come out on top. And had I accepted at 8 years old that blindness would be the end of my story, I would have never achieved 4 Paralympic medals, or 3 world championships, or 18 national championships, or a world record. Had I accepted at 8 years old that blindness would be the end of my story, I would have never been the first totally blind athlete to jump over 22 feet in the long jump. Honestly, losing my sight, that was the biggest blessing, because now I wasn't imprisoned by what we see right now. I gained freedom and seeing that vision of what could be for the future. There is no need for sight when you have a vision. And what that means is that it's not the sight that ultimately determines our success. It's our ability to see a vision and do everything in our power to turn it into reality. And when I had initially lost my sight, that was the biggest challenge for me. I felt so isolated and disconnected from the rest of the world, because in a lot of ways we live in a visual world. You see, you need to see the drive right now, but sooner or later it seems like that's gonna be null and void. I'm gonna be the first one to get that self-driving Tesla. But you use your eyes to read, and I think more than anything, if we were in a huge room, let's say you were with your friend or maybe your significant other, you could be standing there on one side of the room and that person could be on the other side, and you two could look at each other and say something without even moving your lips. You could just tell by their expression. Expression says it all. So me not being able to do any of those things anymore, I felt like I was disconnected. But what bridged that gap was knowing that it's all about vision. Everything that has ever been created and everything that will be created always starts from a vision. Like everything in this room, they were once ideas. This desk, this chair, the computer, everything in here, it was once an idea. And so the only thing you need to produce ideas, you just need your mind. Anything outside of that, we can figure out how to make it work. There are certain strengths that you have. We all have strengths, we all have our weaknesses, but for every weakness, there's somebody to my left or to my right who have that strength. And so when we connect together, we're able to do that much more, the connection. So I wanna show this last video and talk about connection.
I believe you want to go, see, the path splits off here. To the right, it's a little smoother. To the left, there's quite a few more rocks. And I can see the flag now, a little bit to the left. You can see the flag here. Now, it looks like if you go straight ahead, okay, a few more feet now. If you turn to the left, okay, there's a bag on the ground to your left and a few more rocks to the right. Oh, you are so close. A little bit once you get your footing, turn a little bit to the right.
Oh, hold on. Oh man. This is what I came here for, to touch the top. So having that vision means that we can achieve more than what we may have thought to be possible. In that video, I was using this program called Ira, and what Ira is an app that you can download it, and you press the call button within the app, and it connects you to a human agent that's located in a remote area, and they're able to either see through your smart glasses or they can see through the camera on your phone, and they give you auditory directions on your surroundings and where you are. So that particular day, I wanted to go hiking, and I used Ira to get from the bottom of the trail or the mountain to the top. And that's the beauty of having a vision. When we connect together, we're able to get to the top, and we can see more than what we may have been able to on our own. So in closing, I just want to, you're in a remarkable space right now. College is that time that you can not only learn, but really, grow and develop. And, college that was my breakout time. I really, from a social standpoint, that was huge for me. And, it just showed me that outside of athletics, I would still be able to go out and be successful. I could contribute to society. I could still go out and accomplish things just like the next person. And that's the beauty of being in this space. That's the beauty of having, professors and different specialists and people that are in your corner. They're here to support you and help you get to the top of that mountain, whatever your mountain may be. So always, envision that highest goal. Remember that you'll have to take a shot in the dark, take that risk. Identify whatever that plan is for being the best, and then get up and go for it. If I can set a world record in an event that I've never seen before, just imagine what you can do and imagine who you can be. So thank you.
Lex, that was amazing. Thank you so much. We have a few minutes for questions. I think about 5 minutes. I want to introduce our Vice President of Student Services, Dr. Sarah Lacey. Sure.
Absolutely. What he's going to be doing in 2020 in Tokyo. You could share that to the
Oh yes, I'm training right. Oh, I'm training right now for the Paralympics in Tokyo. They're in August of 2020. So we have our last major international competition, which is this November in Dubai. So that'll be really huge in us being able to qualify for next year. But I'm training Monday through Friday in preparation for going to Tokyo and winning some gold. Yeah.
So I'd like to introduce our Vice President of Student Services to you, Lex, and everyone here who'd like to say a couple words as well.
Lex, how are you?
Okay,
First
how are
of
you?
all, thank you so much. On behalf of Palomar College, all our students and all our stakeholders, thank you for coming today. It was just inspirational. And let me tell you, I'm taking a couple of nuggets with me, and we just cannot thank you enough for taking the time, and we will be cheering for you. As you move forward.
Thank you so much. So any questions or thoughts?
Can I just make a statement?
Absolutely.
Okay. My mom, she passed away almost 11 years ago, and I was talking to my sister, she lives in Oregon. And I so much agree with what he's saying, and I asked my sister, how did I get to be independent and strong? And she said, because my mom taught you, she knew that I was going to be this disabled. And I have major depression and disability. And my mom and dad are dead now. So if it wasn't for her teaching me to live on my own, I would be depending on people. And so I totally agree with him. I'm able to cook. I can cook for myself. I can ride the bus, and I know how to go to school. And I get a lot of compliments. I'm very strong in what I do. I come to Palomar College. I'm taking up silk screening, and I love it. I'm not the one to just sit home and do nothing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Hi, I'm Audra. I work in the office, and I want to say thank you very much. I have a son that has a disorder, septo-optic dysplasia, and it's a combination of three things, but one of the main things is that they have short optic nerves, and they usually are born blind or go blind within the first couple of years of their life. He has maintained his eyesight, but we don't know how well he sees. We have to keep going to ophthalmology appointments, and we're trying to make that part of his IEP plan for school. He's with the regional center in San Diego. He's with Rady's. We're getting all this work and all this whole team together. But just hearing your story, being a mom, hearing that at first, it was a shock, and I was nervous about what that was going to mean for him. My first plan was, what can I do for him to give him all the chances at having anything and everything that he wants. And just like you were saying, he's a little boy that loves to jump off of things. He has no fear. He's running. He's going down the slide backwards, upside down, and I'm like, my heart's always going, no. But it's just amazing. He has that energy and that positivity and stuff like that. And I just want to keep encouraging that in him. It's amazing to hear your story. It just tells me that, I need to keep, telling him about having vision and that he can do anything that he wants to do. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I have a question. When you have, I assume that you probably have the negative feelings, or when you're really, really down, how did you overcome that? And what did you tell yourself to get out of when you're really rock bottom emotionally, or?
I think a lot of it came from, I'm talking about my mom a lot, but she's been a really influential figure for me. And, I think all of the things that she taught me and educated me on really stuck with me to this point, so that when I would leave home, it would still feel as though a lot of home went with me, because her voice, it echoes, and I think about all of the things that she would say. You determine what you can do and no one else. I want you to go out here and be independent. There's going to be times where I'm not going to be around you. You have to learn how to do these things on your own. And yeah, she would even talk about, sometimes it's going to be challenging. Sometimes you're going to, have to do things that you don't want to do. And that's definitely tough. But I think all in all, when you think about what's on the line, when you think about what you may have to lose if you don't do the decisions that we make, then, I really think that helps you kind of keep it in the middle of the road. I know that, just off the top of my head, if you're training for a goal, when I wake up in the morning and I don't feel like going to the track, I'm tired, I'm sore, or a Tuesday night, somebody comes to me, oh man, let's go out the gas lamp. Nah, bro, I gotta get up in the morning. I gotta train. So you think about those things, and it's like, all right, well, what do I have? What do I have to lose? What is it that I'm really here for? What do I want to achieve? And that begins to, outweigh everything, and it kind of pushes out all of those, those negative, those negative feelings and the distractions. And yeah, it's hard, but you definitely get to that point where it's like, all right, I know what I need. I know what I need to do. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Wanda.
Mr. Gillette, you said you lost your sight at 8. Could you tell us what was your adjustment period? Was it like 12 months, 2 years?
That's a loaded question. I think just like literally, probably like maybe the first year or so. Just literally from like an adaptation, just trying to figure out like how to walk around and walk around without being able to see how to do a lot of those things. But the social piece, that was years and years and years, because I had a lot of insecurities and things that I was dealing with internally, and quite frankly, like I mean, it's hard. Certain people see that you're blind and they don't know how to. They may not know how to help you, or they feel like they are helping you, and it could be something that may be like too much, or maybe it offends you, or whatever it is. So once I was able to tackle the things that I was going through internally, and I was able to open up and talk about, this is why I'm blind, and this is what happened, et cetera, then I was able to educate them and make them more aware, and then that barrier started to slowly dissipate. And so I want to say, again, going back to college, that's where I really matured from a social standpoint. So that was, I would say that's probably been like a 15-year journey. And once I got out of college, I felt like I had arrived to the point where I was like, all right, well, I think that I'm good now. I'm totally confident in all aspects. Hopefully that answers your question.
Lex,
Hello.
may I share something with you,
Please.
This is Raquel, and I am a college student, and I'm blind.
Yes.
And you know what, I have friends and family members that had encouraged me to go to school, because I know that I was a little bit afraid financially, because I didn't know if I was able to afford it. But I am just so glad that I have been coming here to Palomar for a few years, and it's made a big impact on my life. Nothing scares me. I'm brave 98% of the time. And that's why I'm so grateful for all this DRC staff. They've been an inspiration in my life, and they're the reason that I'm here. And I am an IRA Explorer as well. I've been using IRA probably for the past 6 months, and
that's awesome.
It's helped me out a lot. It reads my mail to me. It even helps me with any type of thing that would regard sight.
Right.
But I've learned in these past few years that you can live the life you want as a federationist, and that's what I wanted to ask. In a question I wanted to ask you is, are you involved with the National Federation of the Blind?
I've gone and spoken at a couple of events, but I'm not a member. But I know that my mom actually. One thing I never talk about it too much, because I just don't think about it much. But my mom has glaucoma, and so she has usable sight, and she's always had pretty good sight. It has declined a lot since I was growing up. But I say all of that to say I know that she is involved in the chapter back at home, and she does. They volunteer and do all those cool club things that they do, but I think she is actually going to. I think they have a national conference in Vegas this summer that she's going to attend. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop on that Southwest flight to Vegas and see my mom. Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.